Alright, so part two. 1 year ago today was the last closest connection and the closest connection I've ever had, with anybody. Having that soul connection, because before it was, I had, like heart connection before, because they said that's for a lifetime, but the soul connection is something completely different, and I never experienced that before. So it's been tough to overcome that after finally experiencing that and feeling that, and then, trying to move forward from that, because, it didn't come together, so if you guys are suckers for, love stories, and I mean, this could be one of the best ones ever told, if it would work out, but, unfortunately it hasn't, so if you guys are looking for that happy ending, fairy tale ending, you might as well tune out, because you're not going to get it here. There's no happy ending in this story. So anyway, I'm just going to tell you, how it began for us, and then, how it ended, basically. So, check out part one, because that ties in a little bit, if you guys haven't yet. Part one, I posted yesterday, and this is part two. So, September 17th, last year, the week of my birthday. My birthday's actually on the 21st. I get a phone call, and, saying, she's in tears and saying she needs me. So that's how it starts. But we got to go back to the beginning, how it all started, before we get to that. So how we met and everything. Okay, so we've known each other. We've been like lifelong friends, best friends since we were teenagers, basically. And she's like 1 year older than me. Back in the MySpace days to date ourselves, she would, people used to call me Captain Jack back in the day, in my rocker days, piratey looking days. I had long black hair, I'd wear the guy liner and stuff, and, she commented off of one of my MySpace pictures back in the day. She was like, "Oh, you're sexy," so that's how we vaguely met, was through, MySpace back in the day. But then the first time meeting in person, we went to Ozfest, so at a concert, and, I just feel this presence behind me, and I've like never felt that powerful type of feeling before. I felt this strong, very strong, powerful presence. So I turn around and boom, there she was. And I just remember being like a deer in the headlights or something, like just, I was just like in my own head, just like, wow. I was like, that might be very well the most beautiful woman I've ever laid my eyes on, still to this day. And, it was like magnetic from the start. I knew there's a powerful connection there, and, so we introduced ourselves finally to meet in person and stuff. And then shockingly, we didn't end up kicking it again because we were teenagers then. So probably about 16 or 17 or so, like when we first met. And then, roughly around there. And then we didn't meet again until our early 20s and stuff. Like our mutual friend of ours, she hits me up and she's like, "Hey, if you're free tonight, you should come out to this show. Her band's playing, and I was like, yeah, it'd be good to come out and see you guys and see her again, So I go out there, go check out her band show and stuff, and we went to Scully's at the time, a place that my band was going to play, and it's a very, significant part of the story because that's where the flower was picked and stuff, and we'll get to that. But we ended up having to postpone that show, so we might still play it sometime here in the fall. I don't know for sure yet, but we'll see. But that will be, because I wrote a song for her, and that will be probably the last, if we end up playing the show, it'll probably be the last time that song's played, because it's just too painful for me to play now. But she inspired it. It's a beautiful song, and one of our fan favorites. So that's what's sad to them, is they want to hear this song live, and it's like a dagger to the heart every time performing it and stuff like that, because that is her song. It just doesn't have that happy ending, so it's like I'm killing myself by continuing to, perform that song, I guess, that's how it feels, because it's like, why keep doing this when there's no happy ending to it, but we'll get to that. So going to see her band play and stuff, so I meet up Shauna there and some of our mutual friends and stuff. And what's crazy is Shauna used to date her guy she's with now, and she knows he was no good. Like, we had a meal, dinner together not too long ago, and we talked about it. And she's like, "Oh my God, no, I can't believe you even introduced them," because I know how he is. And she even tried to be around them to see if maybe he's changed over the years since when they dated. And it's like, nope, he's still the same false persona. He's still the same guy, very vindictive, manipulative, and controlling and stuff like that. So, so he's cut her off from her too. She can't even see one of her best friends. So we both understand, how bad that sucks, but yeah, so at the show, this before he was even in the picture, he didn't come to way later, because that's how long we've known each other, like forever. So I'm at the show and, hitting it off with some friends there, and then getting to meet her dad the first time, and, we're bonding, like, talking about Soundgarden and stuff like that, and singing together and stuff, having some drinks, and watching her band play, and I was amazed. I was stunned. She rocked the house. She was incredible. The voice, everything, like, I got chills, and she's still to this day, she's my favorite female singer, and, yeah, she was phenomenal. And then getting to catch up with her after the show. She's like, "Thanks for coming," and, we were catching up, having some drinks and stuff. And then we really hit it off, and she's like, "Hey, do you mind taking me home tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, I got you, no problem," And so we were heading out, and she reaches on the ground, and I'm like, "What's she doing?" And she comes back up, and she goes, "Here, I picked you this." And it's a flower, dandelion, and it caught me super off guard, because it like hit me in the heart, because I was like, damn, because I'm like a hopeless romantic at heart. And I was like, damn, like nobody's ever done that for me before. That really hit me. It's just like, this is a really powerful connection that I've never had before. So, but there's always a catch with her. So, just wait. But, so we get in the car. I'm already feeling like these butterflies and stuff like that. We get in the car, right? I literally had that flower in my console until it withered away and died, basically. I kept that in there just like it was. But as soon as we get in the car, she's like, "Do you mind dropping me off at my boyfriend's house?" And I'm just like, immediately. So it was always a catch with her, no matter what. And she always wondered why. It's like, why didn't we ever go there? Why didn't we? I was like, I wonder why. You made it impossible to ever go there with you. There's always a catch. Always a catch. So I was just like bummed out at that point. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's fine. So I take her over there, even went in for just a little bit, listened to some music, and then rolled out. So that was the night. So it got shot down, something I thought was something like special, and, and then got shot down the first night of, us really like hitting it off, I thought, So there was a lot of that. So there was a lot of me having these feelings, strong feelings for her, and sitting on the sideline. She didn't even know the longest time that I had like the biggest crush on her and stuff like that, And it was mutual, because we did talk about that, that'll come later. But there was always different times where it's like she'd be seeing people, or she was seeing her guys, I was seeing my girls or whatever, and so we could never really go there and stuff too. But we always, there was that mutual chemistry, mutual crush, but because we go to like dance clubs stuff to go dancing and stuff. But there'd always be something, like if a girl would come up to sit with me and compliment my Misfit shirt, she would kind of like snark that off, like, but she's been hurt before, her first love, cheated on her, sadly, and I know her better than anybody else does, and I know that really deeply hurt her. So she's very, like, protective of her heart, and I get that, and, so that's why she is the way she is. Like, she's very, like, if she is with somebody, very clingy to that person, and does not, want to get hurt again, and I get where she's coming from with that, but yeah, so we never, but we really hit it off, and became, good friends out of that. But I put myself on the sidelines. I sacrificed. You want to talk about love? Imagine loving somebody so much and not being able to pursue it, but you caring for that person so much that you sacrifice your love for them so they can be happy, So I did. I just said, you know what? I'll be the friend. I'll just be there for her. I'll be the friend, and I won't act on it. And there's a couple times, through the years, it's like, there's one time that we came close to maybe going, and then we didn't. We decided it wasn't right, so we didn't, at the time. And I think we were always nervous to go there too, because we've been friends for so long. We never wanted, and we had such a special friendship and such a special bond, and we both agree on this, that, you know, we were too afraid to ever go there because we don't want to lose this. Like, we've been there, ride or die for each other through it all, through, you know, relationships, breakups, everything, heartaches, you know, everything that we've gone through together. We've been there, like ride or die, and we never wanted to lose that. So we were always afraid to go there. So then there's a time I actually admitted to having a crush on her and stuff, because I was like, I mentioned the flower thing, and I was like, you know, I had a super crush on, you know, woman that picked me a flower and stuff. She goes, wait a minute, I picked you that flower. I'm like, yeah. And then finally came clean on it, and then that was, you know, she had to kind of process that too. But she said it was a mutual thing, but, you know, she was always afraid to go there too, and so was I. So I understand that side, you know, of not wanting to, because if anything went wrong, if we went there, we might end up losing each other. But now with the situation that has everything that's happened, and we're like, she still hasn't completely lost me. I'm still here for her, but I'm deeply hurt by it, you know. But I don't think I could ever open my heart back up to her again, like in that way again. I'm forever the friend, but I can't really be friends with her even, you know, at all. So it's just, we've already pretty much lost each other. That's a sad thing, you know. But anyway, getting to it. So years go by, you know, so, you know, decades now. So it's, you know, we were friends as teenagers, and then 20s, and then the 30s and stuff. And then, you know, she ended up, you know, taking to the next level with him, you know, as I was getting engaged, but I didn't officially get married. You know, we ended up just, you know, we called it quits, me and my ex. And then, you know, there was a lot of that where it's like, I could never see her anymore and stuff. Can't be friends. We used to talk almost daily before he cut off everything. And I was always respectful. I was never disrespectful to them until it became like a thing. Like, you know, when I was she was messaging me, and she's like, why is he not answering? I go, well, all right, I guess you're mad at me. So, you know, and I was like, what the hell? Is she not getting my message? So I messaged her on a different thing, and I was like, are you not getting my messages? And she's like, oh, he must have went through my phone and blocked your number or whatever. And that was the last straw for me. I've been through a lot of that shit, and I was always respectful. But then it was like that. It's like, I introduced you all too. And if it's like that little respect, like, I can't even have my friend anymore. Like, fuck you. I was like, fuck you at this point. You know, it's like the respect is out the window now when you disrespect me like that. So at that point, so it just still didn't happen like right away, but there was a lot of that bullshit. And then there was a lot, I gotta cut you off again because you said he'll divorce me if I don't, you know, and it'd be a lot of that bullshit. So it was a lot of disrespect to me. It's like, I'm just there when I'm needed, basically, which ripped my fucking heart out, you know. So the last time that this happened, I mean, we did have a time that we all kicked it together. We tried to, and it was like, you know, we just did karaoke over at the place. And that was confusing to me because she ended up kissing me that night, which was different. I mean, she would do that with people. I know how she gets. She has two sides where she drinks, and she either gets violent, like, don't make me cut a bitch. Like, if she gets crazy, and I'm the only one who knows how to talk her down when she gets that way. She's like Tiffany, like Chucky and Tiffany, like, basically, she gets in that persona. Sometimes I gotta, like, talk her down, like, calm down, you know. And then there's the other social butterfly. I love everybody. And she just go around kissing, you know. And that's how she shows her affection and love, you know. So we've kissed like many times like that. But that strong I knew it was there, like, with Carrie. That was what threw me off, because it was different. Because before we would just, like, kind of like peck, kiss. It wasn't like no tongue, nothing like, you know, French kissing or anything like that. But that night was different because that was the first time we ever French kissed. And it was, like, super powerful. But he was like right there, and it was just like, this is weird and like awkward. I don't know, like, what's going on here, you know. But, you know, we were all drinking and it happened, you know. So I didn't know really what it was then, but it was a powerful feeling. And I was like, oh yeah, we probably shouldn't do this, you know. But yeah, then he cut her off even more after that, you know. I realized, like, that situation, like, because we were trying. I was confused about that. It's like, hey, he's finally trying to, like, let you hang out and stuff like that, and then you do that. So it's like, I don't know what she was expecting out of that. So that kind of worsened things even more from us hanging out, and we got cut off again. But I mean, so I understand him a little bit there, but before then, I mean, he was just an asshole about everything. You know, never let her hang, never let her have girlfriends, never let her have guy friends. She's not allowed to work a job. She's supposed to just be a housewife, imprisoned. That's it. I call her Rapunzel. You know, it's very much like some Alice in Wonderland shit. Like, she's never allowed to leave. Period. So then Oh yeah, this is the same outfit I was wearing the night too that it went down. So September 17th, a year ago. This is the same exact fucking outfit too, except I had the gray sweatpants on, and you know that's one of the things that really attracted her. She's like, "Oh my god, that's my kryptonite, basically, like you in gray sweatpants." Like, but this is basically what I wore that night we met up. So we've had those nights where I've had to like try to bail out before, and we would go get like margaritas and get some Mexican food and stuff, and just go for motorcycle rides and stuff, and you know, karaoke or whatever. And then I'd take her back, and then nothing ever happened like that. But then the 1 year ago today, because before then I was cut off for like 5. So me and my ex split, and here I was alone as a motherfucker. I had nobody, and then my best friend cuts me off. She's like, "Oh, I gotta stop talking again." You know, he says, "I gotta stop talking to you again," or whatever. So that happened for like 5 months. Haven't heard from her. I was like, all right, if it's like that, you know, wish you the best. So 5 months, I'm not talking, not saying anything to each other, and I'm getting ready to go to bed that night. So 1 year ago today, on my birthday week, you know, I'm getting ready to go to bed. It's like 11, going on midnight or whatever. I'm getting ready to crash out, and I get this phone call, you know, and it's her, and she's like, "I need you," you know, and she's in tears, crying, and she's not the crying type. I've maybe only seen her cry like a couple times, like that's it. She's not a crying type, you know. So I knew something was up, and I was like, "Hey, just calm down, breathe. Like, what's going on, you know, and stuff." And she's like, "I just need you. I just need you. Can you come and get me?" And we only live like 7 minutes away from each other, but we're never allowed to see each other, you know. So I said, "Yeah, you know, that's fine." She's like, "I'm done." She's like, I'm leaving him. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I need you to come get me or whatever." And I was like, "All right, I'm on my way. Just don't do anything stupid or anything. Just, you know, breathe and calm down. I'm on my way." So I go there to pick her up. And I knew it was serious because she had all her stuff packed and the dog with her. And I was like, oh shit, it really hit the fan. So like, I'm like, "Hey, just calm down." I gave her a big hug, and I said, "Let me take your stuff." I put it in the car for her, you know, open the door for her, let her in with the dog, you know, and stuff. And we were just talking on the way, and she's like, "Yeah, you know, he wants to see other women," you know, basically. And I was like, damn. And then she was like in tears and stuff, and I was like trying to comfort her and stuff, you know. I could tell she had a couple of drinks stuff, and she's like, "You got any tequila?" First I was going to take her to her dad's, and then she's like, "You got any tequila back at the house?" And then I said, yeah, of course, you know, and that's our bond, you know, we both love tequila. So I invited her back, and, you know, we kicked it here, and we were having tequila and stuff together, and we just had a great night because I just saw her instantly just change, and she was like her fun old self again. She feels comfortable, and I feel comfortable with her. It's just like, you know, we've known each other forever, and we could just let loose and have fun together, you know. So we watched a couple of like horror films. So we had like House of Corpses on at one point because she loves horror and stuff too, and she's very much like Sherry Moon, which is, I've always loved Sherry Moon. So we watched that, and we watched Frailty and stuff, and then she's like, "Oh, let's do some music, let's sing and stuff," as we're drinking and stuff together, just having a good night. And then we're singing. I didn't realize like we had the same bond even with that too, how much we are alike. We're so much alike too. She wants to sleep on my side. I'm a right side sleeper, and she wants to be on my side. I'd like, "No, you get over there, all right? This is my spot." That's how much we are alike. Like, she is literally the female girl version of me. She's a rocker. She can scream just like I, you know, she's just all around badass, you know, and she is literally the girl version of me. We're completely the same, in a lot of ways. So we start singing together, and then she puts on the Wallflowers, and like I met the Wallflowers and Jacob Dylan. I got my first Wallflowers CD by my sister at the time, one of my older half sisters. When I'd repeat that song over and over again, One Headlight, she's like, "You know what? I'm tired of hearing the song. Just take it. Take the CD. It's yours." And that's how I got my first Wallflower CD. So the fact that really hit me in the heart, because that's a special bond for me, and the fact that she was singing that song, I love that song as much as I do. That was powerful. So we're singing it together, and we go from that to Tonic, If You Can Only See, which I always thought those bands sounded very similar, alike, and like both those songs. And then we did Three Libras by APC and stuff like that. That's a song that me and her actually covered back in the day. And we just started singing some songs, stuff like that, and, you know, we were just bonding like big time. And then her dog came up, you know, laid up on my shoulder here and stuff like that, and she goes, "Oh my God," like she was so caught off guard by that. She was like, "Oh my God, he doesn't even do that with my guy," or whatever. I'm like, "What do you expect? I'm the guy version of you, you know?" And I'm like Ace Ventura, like Animals Love Me, like I'm like Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura, you know. But yeah, and then she was like, just laying there. We had a great time together and stuff. And then she was just laying there, and And she just kind of looked down for a minute, and, I went in to like comfort her and I kissed her on the forehead and stuff. And then that led to like kissing and those like powerful kisses and stuff. And then one thing led to the next and we just connected. And I'll leave it at that. But it was a connection where it's like, I couldn't make eye contact. It's very much like that song, from Artemis, Kiss Me. If you listen to that song, that's what I was basically trying to do. Like, it was confusing because it's like, we've never went here before. Like, what happens now? Like, and everything was just amazing. That whole night was amazing. Like, one of the best nights of my life, 1 year ago today. But it was very confusing at the same time. It's like, how do we, go for me? Because it was a great night, but not to get in all details and stuff. But imagine going that long, and then you finally have a strong connection like that. And then, sadly, I gave the wrong kind, because I wasn't able to finish. And she's like, well, thanks for, rearranging my guts type thing, which I'm like, I feel stupid about, but she's like, I promise to give you another if in the morning, as long as you're gentle. And I was like, deal, done. And I was a gentleman about it. And then we just held each other. And then, the morning after, we're kind of joking a little bit. She goes, oh my God, this really did happen. We really went there. And I was like playing it off, like just to be funny with her and stuff. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She started laughing about it and just joking, but then she kind of changed the next day. And it's like, I never did get that other time because I was down prepared as like, this is what because I didn't want to confuse like either one of us. And, I was like, because I don't know if this is a for sure thing and I don't want to confuse her. I don't want to confuse myself. That's why I just try to avoid the eye contact and, making love type stuff because it's, I didn't want to go there the first time for sure, so I felt bad because I gave her the wrong kind, expecting, she wanted maybe some more wild stuff, and that's not what she wanted. She wanted that closeness, and I feel stupid about it, but I never got a chance to get it. But I think if we would have went that route, I know for sure, if we would have went that route, eye contact, and I gave her what she really wanted, it would have been a done deal. It would have been over. Like game over for both of us. We both would have fallen, but yeah, so we both had those feelings and stuff, but then the next day, and then she had a lot of guilt and stuff like that, and then she didn't know what to do, and I feel like she's like, I'm just going to see my family a couple days, and just go from there. And I know they all talked her down because this guy comes from money, and they don't care that he treats her like a slave and imprisons her and doesn't let her have friends, guys or girls, doesn't let her work a job, just wants to confine her and keep her locked up 24/7. Doesn't let her have a life outside of him. Which is really sad to see. I never expected that. And if I would have known that, I never would have introduced him. If I would have known how he was in a relationship. It's terrible to see my friend go through that. If they were happy, that's one thing. But it's I can tell she's not happy. But she stays. He always bribes her because of the money. His family is loaded, rich and loaded, and he dangles that over her head. And that's why she keeps going back to him. So, and then plus she went to go see, like, because she had the biggest smile on her face, like in a picture that she posted, and like, oh my God, it finally happened. I could read that, I could sense that, and I felt the same. We were both very giddy about it, but we didn't know how do we act, like, how do we go, like, where do we go from here, and I wanted to kick it with her more that day, but she ended up calling her brother to come get her, and stuff, and then that's when she went and saw her family. I don't know if she talked to them about it or what, but they completely shot that down, They're like, oh, you better stay with him. He comes from money, because I feel like some of them, sadly, want a meal ticket. They don't care about her best interest. They don't care if she's miserable as can be. As long as they feel like they're getting a meal ticket out of her, she stays with the rich guy. That's all they care about. Not all of them. So I feel like one brother of hers is like that. The other brother's not. Maybe he's more mutual about it and just wants her happy. And then, I can't say for the rest of her family, but I feel like a lot of them, like one brother is pretty much like, we'll disown you if you leave him, basically, and go with that guy, So, her feeling, so that probably, shot her down completely, like inside. It's just like, and any of those feelings that she was having, it was, even though she's tried different times, we've tried to, come back around, because there was the time when my ex came into town and she called me that night, said, I need you. I went and picked her up and stuff. We kissed a bit, drank some, but then her brother came, shot that down immediately, she was trying to get away from that situation. She was staying over at his house at the time, and he was trying to find her. She ran away from him and stuff, and I had to go pick her up. That situation, and it's just rough. So then, but they're all controlling. They don't let her live her life how she wants to. They all just want to control her and stuff, and it's terrible. It's really like Alice in Wonderland type of thing, Rapunzel type thing. So yeah, that night got shut down, got screwed up, and then my ex came rolling like a bat out of hell, and then just that ruined everything. So that was the second time that we maybe would have gone there. Because I already said, it's like, if we ever went that route where it was like making love, eye contact, and I said, the next time, I would look you directly in the eyes, no holding back, nothing, and I would make love, bottom line. And I think we would both fall like never ever before, but we never got a chance to go there. There was one third time where, so this was after, my ex was in town. That was the last weekend me and my ex ever were in person together. It was just that weekend. And then the last time that we had a chance, I would talk to her in the morning. She was doing therapy and stuff. Then I would talk to her in the morning. That was like the highlight of my day. So I remember my ex just being like, she's like, fine, we'll just be friends, blowing up my phone. And I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. So I was like, that's all she was, just drama. And I was like, you know what? I'm turning my ringer off. I'm going to bed early. My highlight to my day is talking to my friend, her in the morning, And so I passed out, and literally like a half hour later, I had these missed calls, missed texts, everything. So I regret that. Like, I beat myself up for that, not being there for her when she needed me most. But I was literally thinking of her before I went to sleep. I was like, that's the only thing I could think of. It's like, hey, I'm done with my ex's drama stuff. I'm not listening to her. I'm turning my phone off, the ringer off. I'm going to sleep. I just can't wait to talk to her in the morning, And she was literally my last thought before bed. And so I passed out, and I woke up like around the time that we talked, like 6, 7 in the morning, anxious and excited to talk to her and hear from her. And I wake up to a nightmare, all these missed texts, missed calls and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And she's like, I need you. He called the cops. Like, it's not good. Like, all right, I guess you're busy, so I guess I'll call my brother or something like that. And I didn't know what was going on, and I was like, oh shit. And then I see this text, and I'm trying to get a hold of her. I can't get a hold of her, but I see this text that says, I told him I loved you and you know me more. And I was like, oh shit got fucking real, So then I was just like, fuck, then more than ever, I was like a man on a mission. I gotta find where she's at. Like, it was just a rough situation, and I'm like panicking. I'm like, where is she? She needs me. And I feel so bad I wasn't there when she needed me most, because I literally passed out because I was trying to avoid my ex's bullshit, but all I wanted to do was talk to her. And I had my ringer turned off, so I didn't hear when she called through, and I regret that. It's like, because that could have been the time that we fully came together and we're there for each other. And she would have said, enough is enough. I'm done fighting with him, and I don't know what would have happened if I actually was awake at the time, but I feel awful for that. Then I had to find out where she was. I had to even go to her brother's house. That's fan of the guy that she's with, not a fan of me, I guess, as much. I had to go there to find out where she was, and he was like, yeah, no, she's locked up. She threw a candle. He locked her up. She's in jail right now, and he still supported her being with him, because it comes from money. It's not her best interest. So here she's locked up, and I'm panicking, so I sent her some money in there. I went to go try to see her. She didn't know I was her visitor in there. So I go try to visit her, and I know her sense of humor to try to cheer her up and stuff. We had the same sense of humor since we're a lot alike. I did a Sharpie heart with her initial in it, and on my chest, and because I was going to joke with her and be like, look, in your support, I had to get myself a jailhouse tat for you, And I did tell her about that after. I wasn't able to see her in there, but I did tell her about that, and she did laugh about it. She's like, that's adorable and cute at the same time, and laughed about it, because I know her sense of humor, and we're both the same on that. But I went to go try to visit her in there, and they would, either the guards were messing with her and wouldn't let me see her or whatever. I didn't know what the issue was, or she thought it was him trying to see her, and she avoided that, so she didn't come to, she didn't show up for that when I, for the visitor. But she goes, wait, you were my visitor? I'm like, yeah, it was me. She's like, shit, so I never did get to see her in there, but I went to go support her and stuff. And other times that she's had to go in for weekends where I wasn't able to go see her, but I sent her some money and try to help her out and stuff. So there's all of that. And then I'm talking to my younger sister and her friend at the time, trying to give me advice. And because my sister's friend has a guy that's locked up and stuff, and and she was like, so sometimes those guards be messing with them. They might not let her like see you or whatever, but they were both giving me advice, and they're like, there's no way after he locked her up like a coward piece of shit. I wanted to go beat his ass, and the only reason I have it is for her, out of respect for her, because she's like, don't do that, and she goes, she's like, there's no way in hell she's going back to him. She'd have to be crazy to go back to them, so no way. She's going to see who was truly there for her, ride or die through this whole thing. You even went to go visit her in there and tried to see her and stuff. She's going to realize that. She's going to realize who was true and stuff. Sadly, she didn't. So when she got out of there, she went right back into this thing, and I've only seen her twice since she's been released. There was one time taking her over our POs, and we had coffee together. That's it. Just kicked it for a little bit. I took her over, picked her up, took her over her POs. We had coffee, and then dropped her off, basically. That was that. And we just got to talk and catch up a bit. I played her the songs that I wrote her. She inspired a lot of the songs off the second album for my band. So I went through this hell and back, but it made for some good songs. Is it something I ever want to go through again? Hell no, because I couldn't survive it again. It was very hellish, but but I was very respectful, even though I wanted to kiss her. It's like I didn't go there. I was very respectful with the whole thing, and then because I didn't know what she really wants. And then there's only been one time that wasn't too long ago that we tried to hang out again, and I went to try to go pick her up, on the bike and stuff, and that got shot down right away because they saw her leaving the house with cameras and stuff, and it's a horrible situation. Like, his whole family's in on it and stuff because they live there with his family, a rich loaded family and stuff like that. She's not allowed to leave the house. They got cameras galore, everything, so they already knew she left. And yeah, so that was shot down right from the get-go. And then we had a car going by, and stuff, and it was just like, oh man, I can't even see it. And I was trying to just be respectful. I was like, I can't even see my friend, but it sucks because she wanted to be there. It was right after Ozzy passed, and that's the reason we came together, the first time. So we were both bummed out, being rockers and metalheads and stuff, and when Ozzy passed. And she's like, I do want to catch, because she knew I was down and out too. And she's like, we should catch up and go do some coffee, go grab some coffee together. So I was like, yeah, I'm down. So I tried to pick her up for that, and that immediately got shot down. So she got on the back of the bike for a second. We couldn't even do much of a drive. Went to another neighborhood, talked for a little bit, and then she's like, I got to get back. She's like, I'm getting too paranoid, and just, we can't do this, I guess. So I got to go back. So I respect that. That's the last time that, we saw each other in person, and might be the last time, period. And so this is where I'm at now, and, but yeah, since then, I've only, I waited for her, I was thinking maybe she would come back around, and, maybe when she got out, but no, she ran right back to him. So it's like, I rescued her from that burning building that first night I picked her up, and she ran right back in, so you can't save somebody who doesn't want to save themselves, so, I've just always left it up to her. But she even said, she can't even go to therapy now without him going there with her. So it's like he probably pays the therapist off to keep them together. She's like, I'm paying you good money. You better keep her with me, period. So it's like they're indoctrinating her to stay with him, even though it's not good. And she's starting to wake up to that. She's like, I know I don't have any freedom of my own. I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. It's like she's literally tied down, locked down 24/7. She's not allowed to have a life, period. So that's where we're at. I did try to wait for her, but yeah, it seemed like it wasn't going to happen. And then so I tried some long distance relationships. I couldn't really find it. She was the only interest I had here. I couldn't really find anything, I wasn't interested in anything because I was in love, and it really fucking hurt. Like, I've never fallen like that before, and I'm like, I don't know how to go. I've never fallen that hard for anybody and stuff before on that level. I thought I did, there was that heart, connection, but like they said, like when the mind falls in love, it's temporary. When the heart falls in love, it's for a lifetime. When the soul falls in love, that's eternal, and that's our kind of connection. So it's like, how do I feel like it's hard to even get close to anybody else, because if I don't have that same kind of connection I had with her, that's not fair to them, So it's like, am I just destined and doomed to be alone forever? Like, I did try to long distance relationships and stuff, there's one in Arizona that I had, and you know, we were kind of hitting it off for a bit, and you know, we got along really great together, you know, as much as we could, and you know, we'd watch movies and stuff together, and you know, did everything. You know, she was kind of wild. She was into like the Scream, like me wearing ghost face masks, and we'd do some like wild stuff together, like make the time count how we could. You know, she was more of the wild one. But I enjoyed that too. You know, she kept it fun and stuff as much as we could. But then she wanted me to come out and see her, and I was like, well, I got the band here. I can't just move out, but I'll come visit you sometime. And then she's like, well, I can't do that though. I'd get too clingy. I would never want you to leave once you got out here, or whatever. So that really hurt, because it was like she felt like I was choosing the band over her, and that was not the case. So then sadly she ended up hooking up, and she goes, and that really hurt me. But she's like, but I was thinking of you the whole time. She's like, I just needed something here because you're not here, you know. And I was like, so we tried to still keep it on a friend level, but I was like, I lost the interest with that. Like after that, like, I'm not holding that against her. Like, I get it. She wants somebody there in person, but it just sucks. So it's like, I mean, before all that shit happened, I got catfished before even me. And so the one I hooked up with, would have been today, a year ago. Even before that, I got catfished too. So that was another thing I went through. You know, it's like being back in the dating scene after being settled down for 11 years and how much it's changed. It's like a Guns N' Roses song, "Welcome to the Jungle, because you're gonna die, baby." That's how it fucking feels now. And I didn't know they had AI filters and shit that they could even do and catfish people now. Yeah, so there was that too. And then I had the connection with, and I tried to make my ex's stuff work. Then I had the connection with my longtime crush, and then I tried the long distance thing. So there was that one in Arizona, and then the longest thing that's lasted. We did have a bit of a fallout. I'm not going to go into that very much. I'm going to respect her wishes and stuff, but we've been there for each other for like over a year and stuff, and she's more like laid back. She's not very, you know, like the long distance ones before that. Like we were very, you know, everything in a relationship that would happen, but being long distance, we were all about. But I was the most patient with this one because, you know, she was more, I guess, like conservative type. You know, we don't share. It wasn't sexual, like with me and her, you know, basically. So, but we've been like good friends, and like the bond was there and stuff like that. So, but I've been the most patient with her because it's like there's nobody I've ever like not had any kind of like that type of, you know, feel to it with, you know, just being like strictly friends, but having like having a connection, you know, with that person, but just being as patient as I can be, and you know, not knowing what she wanted or where we were going with it. And but I kind of jumped the gun, and I thought, you know, because it would kind of go back and forth where it's like, you know, we would talk about, you know, seeing each other and stuff like that, but then it just got shot down, you know. And then I was like, you know, because she said, and that's what messed things up, and we had a bit of a fallout. You know, I thought she was meaning me, and that was wrong of me to make the assumption that she was talking about me, because I know she's very pretty and she gets a lot of attention, but I feel like social media makes it impossible for anybody to get close to anybody anymore, because they're talking to so many other people. And out of respect for her, I created another page, and I said, you know what, I would make this all about you. If you want me to cut off other women, fine, you know, but it's a two-way street. I would expect the same if we're going to go that route. And she got really pissed with me, and she's like, you know, she goes, who says this is about you or whatever, and went off on me. And I got to see a different side I never saw in her, and I was falling. I was really feeling something for her, and then that changed everything. And then, you know, she's like, I don't even want to be friends with you, and we lost connection there for a bit. And I said, okay, fine. You know, it's like, I don't want to feel like I have to walk on eggshells anymore, or anything I'm going to do is going to upset you, so be it. I just wish you well, you know, type of thing. And then, you know, she reached back out, and then we've been friends, you know, been talking again and stuff, and that I'm grateful for that, you know. And I do want to remain her friend, and I don't ever want to assume that we're anything more than friends, so I feel bad for that one. So I'm not going to, but I don't know what she wants. I don't know if she wants to have that, you know, again, but it's like I can't open my heart up again, because I already got hurt. Like, that hurt me deeply, you know, and that's like, I can't put my heart back into something that I've already been hurt on, you know. So I just, I just hope we can just always remain friends and stuff, and just, 'cause I don't know how to fix it really, and I don't really know what she wants, but I just want to be here for her as a friend and like look out for her, because I do like deeply care and deeply love her in a different way, but it's more like a protector. It's more like that Daryl Carol type of, connection. It's like, hey, I got your back for life. I want to be here for you, but we don't have to, connect. We don't have to be together. We don't have to be in a relationship or anything like that, but I can be here for you, but I just want you to be happy at the end of the day. So there's that. And then, but still in the back of my head is always going to be my, that my crush and our connection that we had, that soul connection. But I had to give that up. So it's like, imagine loving someone so deeply. So it's like something out of a movie. Everybody would be rooting this on right now. If it was in the Notebook or it was in the novel, any kind of love tale, everybody would be rooting this on. But when it's in real life and you give them that kind of love in real life, women don't seem to want it. They want to read it in a book. They want to watch it in a movie and stuff like that. If you give it to them in person, they reject it. That's the saddest thing. And they're the main character. They're the star. So they would rather watch somebody else's love story than have a love story of their own where they're the main character. They reject real love in real life, but they want to watch love on TV or in books, read it in books. So sadly, like I said, there's no happy ending to this so-called love story, but this is where I am today. And this is why I don't want to celebrate my birthday. I've been 1 year celibate, the longest I've ever gone since I was like 15, and so when I lost my virginity, and so it's just, what's to celebrate now, and I'm a hopeless romantic at heart in a world that's not a very loving world anymore. So I feel so out of place, so lost, and not knowing where to turn, but I can't open up my heart again. So I'll probably never ever love again. So that's that. But I wish her the best, and just everyone, in the situation, I wish everybody the best. But that's just a little backstory on why, like, I really struggle to open up or believe in love anymore. So that's where I am today. So my birthday's coming up, over the weekend, and I just don't even feel like celebrating it. It's another year of being alone, So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and anybody that made it through all these. The last one was 30 minutes. This one's going on 42 minutes now, or over 42 now. So, but I appreciate you all. Anybody took the time to listen, and because it means a lot. Because I don't really have anybody. I can only open up in music, and I'm trying to get better at that. And this is my way of doing it, because I don't have anybody to talk to. Like, this is it. So, I usually just put all my emotions and feelings into songs, and this is, this is me opening up, so hopefully somebody can understand and help me heal my heart, I guess. So, but anyway, that being said, thank you all for tuning in and listening to me. So, take care.